Now the dashboard for the TR4, right, when it came out of the factory, it looked like that. Well, no, come on. I mean, not just like that, rotten. It is a piece of pressed steel, though. But it was painted white and nice and gloss and sexy. But it didn't originally have that on it. Despite that looking kind of legitimate and like it might have come out of the factory, that is just typical of the 70s and 80s when everyone was obsessed with having a piece of tree in your car. But that I'm not going to use. Losing that presents me with problems because you've got these clocks that go in here and the ashtray in the middle. But look on the dashboard, there's this big gaping triangular hole. So you can see around the outside of here, look, you can follow a faint line around there. There's supposed to be a plate, a piece of sheet steel that goes on there with the holes cut out of it, which you can see here, dink, 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 for the clocks and the ashtray in the middle. So the plate holds the clocks and the whole lot bolts into there. But you can't get those plates. Now, how do you do that? A really useful tip when it comes to making templates and making patterns. Talking about using masking tape. Now, masking tape is pretty much, unlike insulation tape and gaffer tape and stuff, this stuff doesn't stretch. It's almost inelastic. So what I'm going to do is use this to make a template, and I'll show you how. Create yourself a stencil first, which I'm going to do with this Sharpie. I'm going to go over a little bit and just do the corners afterwards. Okay, so we can actually see the shape there that I want to make. Now, I'm going to use the lines. So look at that, you can see the pen marks below this quite well. Because it's so visible, I'm going to give it a bit more rigidity and stick a bit more over it. And this is a fairly long, drawn-out way of doing it, but it's a great way of demonstrating a simple kind of fairly household object and getting around a problem. Okay, so now I've got the top and bottom line, obviously. It's pretty obvious what I'm doing here. I can see the black lines through the masking tape. You know this stuff, right? Just going to do it. You can see it. That is the shape that we want. Peel it off slowly. That is now a sticky back template, which once I apply it to a piece of steel, it can't move. Piece of steel. I don't want a corner to not waste any. Now, if you haven't got one of these guillotines here, you can use an angle grinder, but you won't get such straight lines. At home, I would probably use a jigsaw with a metal cutting fine-tooth blade on it. I'm actually leaving a little bit of gap around the outside of this. Cut this bad boy out. Sort of last cut here. I'm obviously going to have to round the edges off. Right, let's have a look. Just as a rough idea, that's going to be okay. You can see geometrically it's the right shape. We just need the corners shaving off. And in this case, this is just a 4-inch angle grinder with a flat disc on it. These little flaps here are just an 80 grit, so it's a fairly rough grit. Take that off. If that was to go on there, see, that's pretty good. Bob's your auntie. Now that needs a little more finishing. Need to go over with a much finer grit. In fact, yeah, I'll go over with some 120. So there we have the right shape, pretty much, for my instrument panel. So jobs left to do. Cut the 4 holes out of it for the clocks and the ashtray in the middle, and let's see if my template system works. Yeah, look at that. In fact, that is perfect, actually. I'm happy with that. Right, I'll go and cut the holes. Sweet.